Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
It's time for the Tyson Degenhart Show with Boise State basketball star Tyson Degenhart, sponsored by Idaho Central Credit Union. Find a branch near you or get more information at iccu.com. Now, here's Tyson Degenhart with BJ Rains for another edition of the Tyson Degenhart Show on Bronco Nation News.
Hey, how we doing? Welcome to the Tyson Degenhart Show, episode 12. Tyson, I had to count and make sure we were at the right number, but excited to be back with you, man. A lot to talk about. The team obviously is coming off 2 nice wins, and we're going to get the fans involved tonight with some questions and stuff. Big game tonight, New Mexico and Colorado State, so we're looking forward to watching that. But we got 40, 45 minutes, whatever we want to go here to take fans' questions and talk, and looking forward to it, man. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm always excited to catch up with you. It's been since early January, just the way the schedules worked. Our once-a-month episodes during the season, we were in early January, and now we're kind of in mid to late February. So it's been 6 or 7 weeks since we've done an episode. And, again, get your comments into the YouTube chat, the ICCU YouTube chat, and we'll get to the questions and things. We already have some that folks put on Twitter, but we'd love to take your questions throughout the show. Anything Tyson apparently said, anything goes. Life, basketball, you name it. I don't think there's anything off limits tonight with Tyson. So we'll see what kind of questions you can come up with, and we'll see what kind of answers Tyson can give. But Tyson, the last 2 games, blowout wins. The metrics are improving. I mean, for as disappointing as that road trip was before the bye, you guys certainly have come back strong, and couldn't have really asked for anything more these last couple of games.
Absolutely. I think the bye was much needed for us just to get our more importantly our minds right, as well as our bodies, and to come off of the bye and take care of Fresno like we did, and then play a really great defensive game last night against San Jose. You couldn't ask for much more, and just hoping to keep this thing rolling into Laramie this Saturday, and then following that to Colorado Springs against Air Force.
What's it like in this new age of new era of college basketball where the metrics mean so much and the point spread matters and all that stuff? And I know a lot of fans are kind of wondering some of these games, why aren't they getting the bench in a little earlier? And it's like, it's not that easy, and it's nothing against the bench or the guys that don't get to play. But nowadays, like a 22-point win versus a 10-point win or something, that stuff all matters now.
Absolutely. I know Coach Burns has been very adamant about us, about our defensive efficiency, because he's looked the past, so many years. If you're top 25 in Ken Palm defensive efficiency, you have like a 90% chance to make the tournament. And so we're always just fighting against those numbers. And so that's why we're always saying like every possession matters for the numbers, and hoping that we could just continue to correct our metrics and, have things start to go our way.
Well, you're up to number 35, tying a season high in the net ranking. You guys have 5 quad 1 wins. You only had 3 all of last season. You're right there tied in the loss column for first place in the league. I mean, are you pretty happy with where you guys are at right now?
I mean, looking at the loss column for sure, but looking at a couple of those losses, we have some games that we let slip away, and there's nothing we can really do about that, but just continue to use it as motivation moving forward, and you just got to do what you got to do.
How much you're going to be kind of scoreboard watching or watching games down the stretch? I know you watch a lot of Mountain West basketball games as it is, but now that every game does matter for the seeding in the tournament, for the net rankings, for quad wins and all this kind of stuff. I mean, is this a time where you're watching as many as you can and checking scores, when your game's over and things like that?
Absolutely. You just got to kind of keep yourself updated on what's going on, know where you're at in the standings, and then just continue to practice, continue to get better, and just worry about what you can control.
Again, we're going to take your questions throughout the show, get them in, and I think it's only fitting that our first question comes from Sam Winter in the chat here. He wants to know, you got to pick one of the two. The Sonics come back or the Mariners win the World Series? What are you going with?
Well, I know that like the Sonics have won an NBA title in '79, so I'm going to go with the Mariners World Series. They're the only team that hasn't made the World Series ever, so I think we got to go with the Mariners World Series.
Kareem the Dream says this, he'd go with the Sonics coming back for sure. I mean, getting an NBA team back in Seattle would be pretty cool.
It definitely would be. I mean, they have the arena for it already. It'd be great. And, you know, with the league expanding from 30 to 32 teams, you could add Vegas and Seattle and move Minnesota and Memphis to the Eastern Conference. And then you could have 4 divisions of 4. It'd really work out just like the football kind of format.
Yeah, well, we asked for a lot of questions as well. I know you put it out there on your social media. We got 14 responses. I can't put those on the screen, but I'll throw some of these at you. And again, as we go throughout the show here, folks can reach in and ask their own questions in the YouTube chat here. If you're watching on Facebook, I believe we can take those as well. If you're on Twitter, we do ask you to switch over to the YouTube or Facebook channels as well. And I guess we should mention, Tyson, as always, this episode sponsored by Idaho Central Credit Union. You are sporting the mug there. There you go, right on cue. Tell us a little bit about ICCU. And I was just in there yesterday, got some checks printed off, renewing my passport, and got some checks printed off. And it's just whatever your banking needs are, man. It just seems like it's super easy, and there's always a branch within a mile or two of you. And I know the Raines family is certainly happy we made the switch to ICCU.
Absolutely. I know a lot of my family has made the switch over to ICCU. They have everything you need from savings, checkings, car loans, home loans, whatever you need. And there's definitely a branch around every corner. I know there's a couple around my house, and the nearest branch is on your phone, and they have the best apps. So go check them out today at the nearest branch or iccu.com.
Idaho Central Credit Union. I was just talking to Shelby today. We're talking about what the giveaway is going to be for the golf tournament this year. So we've done shirts, we've done golf gloves, a lot of options that we're working on here. But ICC is already ready to step up and sponsor the golf tournament again, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get you out there again, Tyson. I haven't talked to you about that yet, but I know this year we're looking to have some of the football coaches out there, maybe some more football players. And we had 50 foursomes last year. We're going to try to push it to the full 64 this year. And I know the night before the tournament, we're looking at doing maybe a little pairings party, and maybe some folks to raise money for charity can maybe on 4 or 5 of our big celebrities, which Tyson would certainly be in there. Folks can actually bid. They're going to be able to bid to have the celebrities in their foursome, and then the money will go towards the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. So once we can lock it down, hopefully Tyson will have you included in that group. I know RJ Keene's already been bugging me about it. He wants back in. We had Tyler Crow from the football team has already reached out. So it's going to be once again the event of the summer. It's May 31st, and I know the Collective's got a golf tournament they're working on also, but this is going to be a little different. It's a couple weeks later, so make plans to join us, and hopefully we'll get it worked out. We'll get Tyson and some of the players and coaches again a part of it as well. But let's see. Kurt says great. Kurt's joking about the scuffle last night. He said great right hook. I was thinking hook shot, or I would have ignored this one. But I guess that could have been way worse than it was. Cooler heads prevailed. I mean, you get these teams where, maybe a guy on San Jose or Fresno doesn't care if they're suspended for 2 or 3 games, but you guys can't afford that right now. So it was nice to see that for the most part, you guys got that thing dissolved pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, when you get ejected with 2 technicals, you're suspended for the next game. That's what Bernie told us in the huddle. And, after that, it was all about just keeping ourselves composed and playing our game. We know we couldn't get up into the antics of the game. And, we're playing for a championship, and we realized how important that is. And we can't let any mental lapses like that happen, especially 2 of them right in a row.
And with that said, Robbie says you seem to have the best sportsmanship on the court of anyone on the team. Is that difficult to keep up at times? If so, how do you manage yourself?
It definitely can be difficult at times, but for the most part, I'm not a big advocate of talking to the other team. It's talking trash. I'll occasionally on the free throw line, I'll talk to them, ask some questions or just whatever, just have a friendly conversation. But other than that, it's all about focusing on what we can do offensively and defensively to get the win.
I was going to say, I've seen you talking to guys, but it's usually joking around or good-natured stuff at times during the game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any real, bad conversations with anyone on the other teams. It's normally just super friendly and just trying to pass through that first free throw and waiting for the second.
What's kind of clicked for you lately, man? You had a solid start to the season, but maybe a couple games. I know the Wazoo one comes to mind where maybe by your standards weren't quite up to what you wanted to do. And, the New Mexico game, I know you guys won the game. Maybe you didn't have the particularly great game, but overall, by the way, it's Naismith's birthday today, so he's 9 years old.
Happy birthday, Naismith.
Hi, real quick, Naismith. He got some good presents today. He's ready to go. Naismith's 9 years old today, so
happy birthday.
Tell Tyson hi. There you go.
Hi.
All right, thanks, bud. Get ready for bed. But Tyson, you like I said, maybe a little bit of a slow start with these last 7 or 8 games, man. You've obviously come on strong and over 20 points, averaging well over 20 points the last 7 or 8 games here. I mean, was there a heart-to-heart with Coach Rice, or did something click, or is this just better matchups for you, or is it just averages even and out, or what's been the difference for you lately?
I think it's more on my mindset. If you kind of look at those, the last 5 games have been really great, but you look before that, like one of the real things I started to figure out was like I'm not having a good first half. If you looked in like the UNLV, I think I had 5 points in the first half and 19 in the second. In the Utah State game, it was 3 in the first and 21 in the second half in overtime. Like there was a way to get more involved in that first half and make an impact right away can help the team a lot more. And I think it really clicked in the Air Force game. I think I had 20 points at the half, and they started changing the defense a little bit in the second half, and we started peppering them from outside. And I think that's really made a huge impact on my game and the team's game as well.
Yeah, there was a time there where Buzo was kind of doing all his damage in the first half, and you were kind of doing all your damage in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when Buzo's shooting it the way he does, we'll take his shots as many as he can get in the game. And just for me, especially just trying to make sure I can keep it consistent first and second half.
Tyree wants to know about the basketballs. Thoughts on a standardized game ball across all of Division I. It is kind of odd, in college football, there's different balls, but like your team, when you have the ball, you always use your balls that you practice with. You guys have the Nike ball. There's all kinds of Spalding and Under Armour and Adidas. What do you make of the different balls you guys use when you go on the road?
I know, like, especially for us, we use a lot of the Nike in the Mountain West, and there's like 4 or 5 that use the Wilson, and there's obviously a different feel to it. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I think the whole NCAA would benefit for just going straight to the Wilson and getting rid of the Nike ball so that everyone is using the same ball throughout the year, and there's no complaints about, oh, we haven't used the Wilson ball all year. Hate to make that excuse for anyone, and I think everyone would benefit from just having everyone use the Wilson.
I saw some Utah State fans or something like after the game in Boise, like shocked that they couldn't believe, or somebody forgot. Maybe it was Colorado State. One of their fan bases were like shocked that it wasn't the same ball, and that they were, no wonder they missed from the free throw line. No wonder they have turnovers and they can't hang on to the ball. It's not the ball they typically use. And then, like you said, when you go into the conference tournament or the NCAA tournament, it's a different ball too.
Yeah, I mean, with the conference tournament, it's Nike, and then the next week at March Madness, you go back to the Wilson. And even though you get a shoot around the day before of a game in March Madness, it still doesn't give you the full feel of the ball. And I think everyone would just benefit from using the same one.
All right, another fun one here. Cameron Watkins wants to know, and I assume that's a friend of yours. If you're stranded on an island, would you rather be stuck with R.J. Keene, Sam Winter, or Burke Smith?
Sheesh, this is a tough question because I think you can make a case for all 3 of them. I'm honestly going to go with Burke. He's very tall. If we need to get some food out of a tree, we could definitely get that. And I think that's the best answer for you.
I was going to say you could find reasons why you wouldn't want to be stranded with all 3 of them. But
yeah, that is true. If all 4 of us were on the same island together, I don't know how well that would go.
Tyson, Kareem the Dream wants to know, we saw the NBA All-Star game over the weekend. If you could take part or you were elected to play in any of the festivities of the NBA All-Star game, which contest would you most want to be part of? Got to be the dunk contest, right? Come on.
Oh, no, not the dunk contest.
You told us before you did like 2 career dunks or something. I think your number this year, like you're over 10 at least, probably.
I think I'm at 8.
Okay.
I talked to Tuss today. I think we're at 8.
Okay.
So we're at 10 total. We're hoping to get to 10 by the end of the year. I mean, just with the pace I'm at and just finding the right spots. But I I think for me, it'd be the skills challenge. I think I'm a pretty well-rounded player when it comes to basketball and can do a little bit of everything. So I think that would be the best spot for me.
Now, Kareem says, should college do this? They kind of do have an all-star weekend at the Final Four. They have a dunk contest and a three-point contest. So, I mean, they kind of have it, but it's usually seniors and it's guys, obviously, that aren't playing. But what do you make of some sort of college version?
Man, if there was a way to do it and, coordinate, however many conferences there are, 360 teams to have like a certain weekend and fly a couple guys in there, it would be really, really cool. But I just don't see it happening, unfortunately.
We've talked about this, I think, before at some point about the first and second round having games in Spokane this year for the tournament. But Robert wants to know, it's possible you could play back in your hometown of Spokane. How exciting would that be?
Oh, it would be really, really exciting, especially after having that loss right before Christmas. That didn't really sit well, especially watching back the film, like just some things that were uncharacteristic of me and just a lot of missed shots and a lot of opportunities for us. But it would definitely be an honor to come back to Spokane and play in March Madness.
And I think everybody, you guys thought it. I saw it watching the game. I thought Washington State was going to end up being better than some people thought. But seeing where they're at now, like number 28 or 30 in the net, that's ended up that would have been just one of your best wins of the season, metrics-wise, if you'd have got it. I mean, that's not a bad loss by any means.
I think people, after we lost, were like, oh, they lost to Washington State. They kind of had seen what they had done the past 2 years and just hadn't been, what they expected. And then they just had a resurgence year. I think Kyle Smith is a great coach and they got some great pieces on that team and they're playing really, really well.
Kareem says Sam Winter to the dunk contest. We've all seen the TikTok.
Yeah, we got to get Sam to the dunk contest. Absolutely. I think
What
Bird
was that like, by the way, at practice that day when he just threw that down?
Shoot, it's funny because I'm the guy who was guarding him, so it was a little tough on my part. I went over the screen and I don't know what happened, but normally they don't run that off the back screen for the lob, but just in that one instance, they made a slight little adjustments and Lex threw him a great pass, and that was very, very impressive. I'm not going to lie.
We've heard from Leon, and maybe this is a little talk, but he mentioned the scout team has really come on and has had some days where they're challenging you guys. It does sound like those guys have played pretty well at times this year to help prepare you for some of these games.
Man, there's been some days where it seems like they make every shot, and that's a credit to the scout team. That it's their Super Bowl for them because a lot of them don't get to play. We have either red shirts, walk-ons, everywhere in between, and it's their Super Bowl, their chance to compete against us and prove their worth, and they're doing more than that. So huge shout out to them because they don't get the credit that they deserve for our team.
All right, keep getting your questions for Tyson in the YouTube chat. Tyson, let's get to some of the questions from Twitter that were on your account here. I'll read some of these off, and then we can't put them on the screen. But we had 14 of them here, so we'll get to some of these. And again, keep putting them in YouTube if you have a question there, and we'll get to it. Let's see. I think this is Jordan Morales wanted to know the life questionnaire. He said, being a student athlete, a lot of demands. If you're a student athlete and you're dating another student athlete, it's got to be really tricky. He says, so props to you guys. But if you've got a free night for date night, where are you guys eating or what are you guys doing? When you take the lovely lady out on the town, what are you guys up to these days?
Well, I mean, at this time of the year, it's the busy time because she's traveling, I'm traveling. There's a lot of conflict. But once my season ends, it's really easy to support her in that way. But as for now, sometimes it's just a night in doing homework, watching a show or watching a movie or that type. But she's a big sushi fan. So we went to Nara Sushi for Valentine's Day and I did enjoy it. So,
there you go.
Somewhere like that. I know she really loves fish or a steakhouse or something like that. So anywhere along those lines.
I think your date night would just be heading out to see Dave at Lean Feast.
Oh, shoot. It definitely could be. I need to head out there pretty soon.
Scott wants to know, he talked about your game evolving over the last 3 years. He says, what fires you up more, hitting a three-pointer, posting up in the paint, putting down a two-handed dunk, or dishing to a teammate for a big block? Or both, for a big shot.
I think there's, great options there. One that comes to mind was when we were playing North Texas and I had a little DHO with Buzo, pitched it to him. We're down 4. He hit a big shot. I remember getting really, really hyped because of that because we really needed that. And that's the one that kind of resonated with me the most. I mean, the Utah State dunk at home when we kind of needed some momentum shift, that was big. I think you could kind of put a mix of all of them, but definitely just getting my teammate an open shot and hitting a big one.
And for the folks that don't know, the reference you made there with Omar, what's that in layman's terms?
Omar?
You mentioned DFO or
DHO, dribble handoff. Sorry.
Dribble handoff. There you go.
There we go.
That, aren't familiar with that. Ross says, what are your plans after your career at Boise State? Pro basketball, business, coaching, other?
At least as of right now, just play professional basketball as long as I can. Just from the alumni I've talked to that are playing pro basketball or have played pro basketball, once it's gone, it's gone. And there's nothing like being in the locker room with a bunch of guys competing towards the same goal. And, just play as long as you can, whether it's in the NBA, overseas, wherever they'll take me, and then settle down. I don't know necessarily if I want to coach or not, but probably, do some business here or there. I'm not really sure after that. Just really focus on the basketball portion as of right now.
Dylan Cooper has a question about your recruitment, and I know you were very generous in helping Dylan Cooper's fund. So I just want to publicly say kudos to you for donating and helping with that. Kudos to everybody that helped donate for that, and happy to hear that Dylan is doing better and has found a more permanent, stable living situation right now. But now you did commit to Boise State pretty early, but he said if you didn't go to Boise State, what school would you have gone to?
That's definitely a tough spot because I did commit so early. I really didn't have any other schools that I was really set on committing to. I think once Boise State was on the table, I'm like, this is the perfect fit for me. I don't really think any other school can provide what they have. So I'm honestly going to say I wasn't going to go anywhere else but here.
Now, somebody says, Quirky says, which white boy in college basketball right now has the most swag?
Andrew Meadow.
There you go. I believe that guy's a Utah State fan too, unless that's a troll. Tanner Chapman says, what is the greatest life advice you have gotten from a member of the coaching staff?
Oh man.
Any life advice from the coaches?
Shoot, we have such a great coaching staff. They've been through so much. And one from Coach Rice, I was on my recruiting visit, but he was the first person to really believe in me when it came to professional basketball. So I think one of it is just about believing in yourself. If as long as someone believes in you, especially yourself, you can put anything you set your mind to.
All right. Eddie says, not including the X, obviously, what's the coolest arena or venue you've played in and the worst environment and or amenities?
If you're talking student section, you got to put Utah State, New Mexico, and San Diego State. Those are the top three for sure. Utah State's probably one of the best student sections in the entire country.
Is that allowed to give them praise?
Absolutely. Everyone says it. It's definitely, they're definitely right. I
could use it without some of the profane language and things that I heard there, but
I didn't hear profane language, so that's
all right.
It's probably me being on the court, but and you being right next to him too.
Yeah,
that could be it.
You were literally right behind me, and it was funny because they were even getting on me a little bit because they didn't like my power rankings, from the previous couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I was actually taking some shrapnel from some of the fans yelling stuff at me, and I had an energy drink, and they're like, hey PJ, energy drinks will kill you, they'll give you a heart attack. They were saying all this stuff, and that was the night that New Mexico and UNLV were playing at the same time, and UNLV won the game late, and it was a close game, and you guys were in a timeout or something, so I had it on my screen, the YouTube TV of the game, and I turned around, there's 7 dudes watching the game, and they're all going, oh man, it's tied, look at the score, and I was like, oh, now you guys like me, huh? Yeah, now you want to look at my screen and watch the game, I see how it is, but I think I counted 15 signs for Max Rice that night. That was I don't know how 12. And he hit that first 3 of the game, and I thought, oh man, he's just gonna have a career night again tonight, and feed off this. And it didn't obviously work out in the end with the final score. I don't think anybody in America was winning that night with how fired up they were for Stu Morrill night. But I remember when Max came on. What was the how did it start with the Utah State fans? Maybe it was his comment about the quad 2 loss. Hope we don't beat them too bad. But was there another Mountain West podcast or something where they infiltrated it, or something happened with you guys?
Yeah, it was I think Max and I were on the Mountain West conference Instagram page, and there was 200 comments. It got to the point where the Mountain West had to turn off the comment section, but it was a bunch of I hate Max Rice, and props to them, they stick to it.
I couldn't believe how many signs there were too, and they had quotes from I don't know. There was family quotes and old ex-girlfriend quotes on some of the signs and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Did you see that? I think Goodman got a little program of what the student section gets. It's like this.
I've got the one from your game, and I actually maybe I didn't put it public because some of the stuff was super harsh. But they were pretty mean to like Tim Duryea and like some of the there was Max. I mean, there was some I couldn't believe that they actually put that on paper, but I do have both sides of that. I'll send it to you.
I mean,
maybe I won't. Maybe you don't want to see it, but
I don't mind. I mean,
what they put against San Diego State, but I can only imagine there was some pretty negative stuff on there.
Oh yeah, I mean, they do their research, but
you got to give them the passion, though, man. I mean, the entire game, that was, like I said, that Stu Morrill night. Like, I don't know if like UConn was coming in there and winning that night. Like they were fired up start to finish. I think their student section probably is the loudest and most energetic in the conference.
Absolutely, and them coming off that home loss to Nevada, that didn't help it as well. They were. I listened to Coach Sprinkel's press conference after that, and I was like, man, we ran into a buzzsaw that night.
I mean, are they just a bad matchup? Would you love to see them a third time in the conference tournament? I mean, you had the one here pretty much won. You obviously couldn't finish that. But what do you – I mean, they're the only team so far that's gotten you twice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see them again. You know, I think there's some things that we've learned from the first two games that we could really use to, you know, have a better defensive matchup for them. And, you know, we realize what we need to do on offense now. And I think it would be a great game again if we played them.
Now, Al Walker wants to know, do you miss playing hockey? Did you play hockey back in the day?
I did. I played 4th through 6th grade, and I believe Al is a parent of one of my teammates, Hunter, from back in, I think he played 4th and 6th grade with me. So okay. I do miss it a little bit, but at the same time, I'm living my dream of playing basketball, and I do follow a little bit of hockey on the side. So.
Now, I know we both know this guy, Bob Berry, but he's asking if you're planning to showcase your new NIL deal with the new Donald Trump sneakers.
I don't have any Donald Trump sneakers, Bob. I'm sorry about that. I think you got misinformed.
Bob, we know you're the one that can afford them for $10,000 or whatever they cost. You know, throw some this way, Bob. Kurt says he bought a pair. We'll see. I highly doubt that. Better hair, Rick Pitino or Richard Pitino?
Shoot, that's a tough one. Obviously, we've played Coach Pitino, Richard, but I don't think I've seen a Rick very often, like even on TV. I think I may have seen him on TV with the St. John's game, but I'll give it to Richard just because he's in the conference. I
don't know how much you interact with these coaches. Maybe it's more at the media days when you got to do that, or if you just shake their hands before the game. But it does seem like there's a lot of good coaches in them, not like good coaches, but also like good people, like Nico Medved. And you mentioned Richard Pitino seems like a good dude there. Danny Sprinkle, by all accounts, seems like a good dude. Even like the Steve Alfords and the Brian Dutchers, the older guys with the slicked back hair that you might think kind of be arrogant or whatever. They seem like good dudes too. Like it just seems like there's a good crop of opposing coaches in this league.
Absolutely, and the respect is mutual between myself and the coaches. You know, always wish them well before the game and after the game, and I think that goes a long way.
Jordan wants to know if we can get a windmill out of you next home game.
Probably not. I'm sorry. I'm not that athletic. I wish I could promise you that, but
I don't know, man. You're on a 5-game winning streak against Nevada late in the game to seal another win or something. A nice little windmill there on an open break. I mean, come on.
I don't want to get rim checked and then be on SportsCenter not top 10.
I mean, we all know Kobe, obviously, probably, but who would have the best chance at a windmill dunk there on a transition break or something?
I think you got to give it to Kobe or Roddy or Omar. Probably would be the three I would throw out there to do it.
Okay. There was another question up here about Omar. Let's find that one. Radic Steph wants to know what it's like between you and Omar going at it at practice.
It's a battle. I mean, you can even toss in Cam and Mo and Emmanuel in there as well. It's battles down there. We play 3 dribbles, and it's just, you know, everyone's so skilled down there and so strong. It's really just a battle of wills at that point. And some days I'll get the best of them, and some, like even Mo, will get the best of us, and that's just kind of how it goes. We have a bunch of talented bigs that can, you know, get it done on any given night.
Tyree wants to know about your schooling, man. The course you've taken that's been the most impactful for you, either the professor or a change in perspective, etc. Any classes you've taken stand out?
It's hard, like as in professor.
You're a business major, right?
Yeah, I'm a finance major.
Okay.
As in like professor, it's hard. I've taken all but 2 in-person classes or online classes, so I've only taken 2 in-persons over my 6 semesters here. Um, but Fred, the old accounting professor that did retire at the end of last year, he was just great about getting in and teaching us the right way to do accounting, and he's had a great way of living and teaching, and it was just great. So I'll say him.
A couple more back here from Twitter. Michael says, would you agree that the North Texas game was a turning point in the season? That's so long ago.
It's so long ago to think about, but I would have to say so because, we did not play very good for the first 38 minutes. I mean, watching film a couple of days later and seeing how locked in they were and we weren't at the start. I mean, that was a game where if we would have lost, we'd been kicking ourselves. And, we just found a way to win. And I think that showed the resilience of our team. And I think that really got us going, especially after that St. Mary's win as well.
Yeah, man, you look at what St. Mary's has done now. That's obviously a heck of a win, but even some of the other games you've played, I mean, you got the VCU game, they're looking strong. San Francisco obviously is playing well. We mentioned North Texas. I mean, you got like 4, top 75 wins or whatever it is in the net in the non-conference. And then even some of those other teams you played, I mean, I still feel like if you got another shot at Clemson or another shot at Virginia Tech, some of those games I feel like you guys would have a better chance of winning right now. Butler, I think, was another one that would be fun to see again. I mean, I know Burns scheduled it this way. You knew it was going to be tough, but the way it's worked out, man, all those teams ended up being really, really good this year.
It worked out perfectly for us. And, going back to wanting to play them again, I think we're still in that like figure it out kind of phase all the way up until probably mid-December. So we're figuring out starting lineups and different lineups, especially with the guys coming off the bench. And I don't think it was till like mid-December where we really started to have things click. So I would love to, see what we could do against those teams that we did lose to in the previous, in the non-con.
We mentioned all the fans getting on Max and stuff. Brian Levy wants to know whether it's opposing players or fans, how do you resist the urge to not punch someone in the face? He said that I'm sure the thought has popped into your head before. Maybe not as much you. I think there is like a, not to say there isn't for other players, but I do feel like the fans, like, especially when I sit so close to a lot of them, like they just mutually respect you, I guess. And, you don't taunt them. You don't do any of that. So I don't think that fans really dislike you other than like, oh, he's a damn good player. But whether it's a Jalen House that gets under guys' skins, or we mentioned Max, or some of these other guys, I guess how have you ever gotten frustrated like that? Or we mentioned the situation that happened the other night, but how do you resist the urge, as Brian says, to quote, punch someone in the face?
I think you got to just take what they say with a grain of salt. Like, they're saying it to try to get under your skin. I mean, obviously if it's an opposing fan, they probably mean it in a way, but you just can't take it personally. You got to kind of like zone them out in a way, especially like against New Mexico or Utah State when you're taking the ball out. The student section's 3 feet from you, and you can hear stuff. But I mean, most of the time throughout the game, you don't hear a bunch of what they're saying.
I was going to say, has anything ever stood out to you? I mean, anything in particular that you remember that was either wrong or funny or anything that stood out to you from a fan at some point?
It was at New Mexico. I was taking the ball out in the first half, and one of their fans said, "Degenhart, you're balding." And I'm like, I just kind of stared at him. I'm like, okay, like I mean, it's kind of funny. We're watching film, and you can see a little lighter spot on the top of my head. I'm like, I'm only 21. This can't be happening to me already.
Brian also said part 2, who on the team has come closest to smacking someone?
I mean, I don't think there's anyone that's come really close to smacking anyone, but if it was anyone, it'd probably be Max, just because of the situation he's in with his dad being the coach, and everything with Max, especially at Utah State.
Oh man, that was like I said, when he made that first 3, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be fun, because I just thought for sure, I mean, he's going to have a huge game and taunt the crowd, and he got his points too. I think he hit 4 threes that game, and the crowd did have to kind of quiet up at that point. They obviously got the final laugh at the final score, but as you said, third meeting maybe in Vegas would be fun. Jan Weed wants to know on Twitter, how old were you when you could first dunk?
I was 14. I was in 8th grade.
Did you try to dunk? Did it just happen when you were driving? What do you remember about that?
Shoot, in game, it took me a little bit. It took me a couple games to kind of figure it out. I'd go up and have the ball slip, or I'd throw it off the back of the rim. But I got one in middle school, in my home gym at Mountainside Middle School. But like when it came to like just kind of messing around in the gym, it was a little bit before that, just kind of messing around, just trying it. It started with like a volleyball, and then realizing you can get to a basketball, and then it goes from there.
I know we already talked about it. There were a couple more comments about the venues. Jordan here says, what's the most hostile environment you've played at? Would that be Utah State?
Probably Utah State or New Mexico would be the top two for me.
Yeah, San Diego State's they're loud, and that'll be senior night for them, but it's just a different kind of, I don't know, different kind of loud or atmosphere than maybe New Mexico or Utah State, in my opinion.
It almost feels like the arena's like so like spread out in a way. Like there's a lot of people, but they're here. When at Utah State and New Mexico, they're like on top of you. They're really close to the court, and it feels like they're almost on top of you.
John wants to know if you were making the schedule next year, or if you could talk Burns into playing one road game at any venue in the country. Where would you like to go play a game before your career at Boise State ends?
Honestly, like I think everyone would want me to say like Gonzaga going home and doing that, but I honestly wouldn't want to. It's a tough question because there's a lot of good venues. I think if you went to like a Duke or a Kansas or a North Carolina or somewhere like that, I think that would be insanely cool.
All three of those would be pretty cool. But you have Clemson coming back next year. You guys, I believe, are going to be in the Cayman Islands Classic. There's some quality teams there. I know we'll find out, but it'll be interesting because I think it's going to be an interesting case study, Tyson, once the season's over, once we see what kind of seeds all these teams get in the tournament and what happens, like what's better, what you guys did, play a really tough schedule, but maybe lose a couple of those, or what some other teams in the conference did where they played a lot of lesser teams, but blew them out and maybe have better numbers than you guys. I'll be curious. I mean, what from your standpoint, I assume you liked playing some of the tougher teams, but you also might like being, 22-4 right now too, or whatever. I mean, how do you look at the way the schedule was put together compared to how some teams are doing it? And Leon talked after the game last night. Doesn't think you guys are maybe getting as much respect as you deserve in terms of the metrics and the rankings, just because you have 8 losses right now. But those, any other team in the Mountain West that played your schedule probably would have 8 or more as well. Yeah,
I think you got to go with the harder schedule. I mean, when you play a lesser schedule in a way, it's a lot more pressure because you have to win those games. You couldn't imagine having a couple quad 4 losses on your schedule before you even get to conference play. I mean, that's kind of hard when you're trying to make the tournament and have those 2 quad 4s, and they really look at those. And credit to us this year, we don't have any of those, and we're looking forward to not getting any of those. So I think definitely having the harder schedule, it will pay off more.
The No Energy Arena, he says San Jose or Air Force. What's better or worse to play in? They're very similar but very different.
Air Force is probably a little bit harder just with the altitude. It's 7,000 feet. It's a little bit harder in that aspect as well.
Tell us about Saturday at Wyoming, man. I don't think this can be considered a trap game for you guys because I think you guys see, hey, Colorado State already went up there and won. Colorado State went up there and lost. Nevada went up there and lost. I mean, Utah State was down 10 and was really struggling there and had to pull it out late. They were in a battle till the final couple minutes of the game. I mean, everyone talks about the 7,200 feet and the elevation and all that, but anywhere in this league, the home team usually shoots better and plays better, and I feel like that's one where you don't get the respect in the rankings or the quad 3 loss or whatever it would be. It doesn't from the outside look like a tough game, but I think that's one of your tougher games on the schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, they play very, very well at home, and there's some magic in there. I mean, if you watch back that Colorado State game, I mean, they made a lot of things happen in that last minute 11 to erase that 11-point deficit. And they're a quality team. Linder's a quality coach. Got some really good players on that team. And we know at this point in the year we can't take anyone lightly because any loss would be detrimental to our resume. So we're going to come into it with that attack mindset.
I know you guys are chartered. You're chartered into this game, and folks like myself that have to, fly to Denver and drive the 2.5 hours, and you guys have been there before as well. I mean, but what difference has that made this year, having a lot of these direct charters right into the road cities and then getting home right after the game?
Oh man, it makes all the difference in the world. Having those rest days to be a complete rest day and getting that travel out after the game, it makes everything a lot easier. So you can have that full day to rest instead of having to go back to the hotel, wake up, and have your rest day being in an airport, flying on a plane, and then getting home at like 4 p.m.
And Laramie used to be one of those tough ones to get to, and that made it tougher. So that's got to be super nice for that. And but you guys are staying on the road. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to go right back and turn around the next day and come back. Just your thoughts on this 2-game trip, and I guess you guys will stay the night and then Sunday drive down or bus down to Colorado Springs and practice there on Monday, I would assume, to get ready for the game on Tuesday night. Just your thoughts on this kind of 2-game trip here.
It's probably two of the most important games on our schedule. You know, they're the last two like quad 3, quad 4 games that we're going to have. And we just got to take care of business and not have any blemishes on our resume going into that final 3-game stretch.
And these kind of games like the Fresno, San Jose one you just had, and then these two coming up, these are almost more important, right? I mean, because you're trying to, I don't know, avoid the bad loss is the right phrase, and you might not admit that, but I mean, you know, the when you lose to a quad 1 game or you lose at Viejas Arena, no one says, "Oh, you're done." But these games where you're expected to win, there's sometimes a little more pressure to not slip up.
Absolutely, and you're always playing against the numbers, as Bernie says, and you got to win by a certain amount, or win by more than that, and definitely plays into effect on the road. And especially against those teams that you're favored by a lot, you got to make sure that you play well so you can, win by a lot and make sure those numbers keep working in our favor.
Jordan wants to know if you're ready to say you're staying for next year, or if you're going to get picked. Do you think you'll get picked in the lottery this year?
Well, I can say for the latter part of that question, I'm not going to get picked in the lottery. I can assure you of that.
You're not going to comment on the first part either?
Well, I don't want to put anything like set in stone, but
sure.
It'd be awesome. I think it'd be awesome to come back for a 4th year and finish out my career here and leave a legacy here. And that's my plan as of right now. So
somebody mentioned the different pro leagues, whether it's the here it is. Michael says, and again, this is, not necessarily this year, but whenever you're done playing college basketball, would you have preference like overseas versus G League? Obviously NBA is your first choice. But what do you think of the different leagues that are out there? And Boise State's got a lot of guys playing overseas and in G leagues and different leagues around the country or around the world.
I don't think there's any really preference for me. It's just about, what would be the best situation for me and Brooke in the future, and just trying to find, what would be best for us.
Jordan's saying you should be the first pick. You're better than Wemby or LeBron.
I appreciate it, Jordan. I really do.
Ian must have come in late. He's asking about the basketball again. Wyoming with Wilson. Most other teams using Nike. So I assume you guys practice with Wilson ball these couple days?
Yeah, we'll practice with the Wilson ball tomorrow and Friday, and then we'll use it for the shoot around on Saturday in the game. So
how do you like either the Wilson ball or any of the other ball? What's kind of your rankings of the other balls you guys use?
I mean,
how are they different?
Like with the Nike ball, the seams are a little bit deeper, so you can really dig your fingers into it. And then as with like the Wilson, they're not as deep, so your hand can kind of just glide over it a little bit. It's just a little different. It's just kind of a feel thing too as well. I think they're different types of leather.
As we kind of get ready to wrap this up, Tyson, what just this time of year and every game mattered, and we're going to get off here and watch another big game. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but just how much fun is it to be tied in the loss column for first place and having all your games matter, but also the other team's games matter and your scoreboard watching and stuff. I mean, this time of year, you see a team like San Jose or Fresno kind of just playing out the strings. I mean, it's got to be awesome and what you guys dream of as players and coaches and stuff to be in this position with these pressure-filled games, down the stretch here.
It's awesome. We have a chance to, play for the league title in a way, even though we wouldn't get the first seed because we don't have the tiebreak against Utah State, we're still playing for a regular season championship. And, that's something that always motivates us is winning championships. And so as long as we keep taking care of business, everything's still in our grasp.
No doubt, man. Yeah, you could be coach. You control your own destiny, man. As tough as it may look, you went out and you're at no worse co-champions. And who knows if Utah State could slip up a game at some point. They still have to play New Mexico, and they have to go to Fresno and San Jose, I believe it is, where you guys, certainly saw that it's not super easy to win at those places. So, you never know what could happen. And you still, as you said, control your own destiny, and you win one game at a time and see what happens. And co-champ, they do that for the seeding, but co-champions is co-champions. But this league, man, 6 teams, projected by most bracketologists now to get into the tournament. I mean, you talk about the 1 seed playing one of the lower teams. You could be the number 2 seed in the conference tournament, and your reward is like playing UNLV on their home floor, or having to play a Nevada or a Colorado State like in the first game, in the 2-7 game. Like, how crazy is this tournament going to be with the seeding here, where there's not going to be any gimmies on that quarterfinal Thursday game, where I can't remember that ever being the case, other than maybe the 1 seed.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, we're really working towards getting that top 5 seed, so we don't have to play on that Wednesday. I mean, if you're the 6 or a 7 seed, you're playing that game on Wednesday, either the 6-11 or the 7-10, and an extra game that doesn't help the body. I mean, to win a championship and having to win 4 games in 4 days is definitely tough. But getting that extra bye would definitely help, and it's no gimme playing, UNLV or Nevada or even Colorado State or whoever you play in the first round. And there's a lot of good teams, and you can't even count out Wyoming. Wyoming can beat anyone in this conference, as well as the other teams. So you just got to kind of get lucky with your draw and play a good game.
So I guess final thing, I know you're going to dive into the film here in the next couple of days, but what are the biggest keys as of now that you see to going up to Laramie on Saturday and getting a win?
We just got to limit their 3-point shots is the first thing. Griffin and Wenzel are really shooting the ball well. And then they have some great bigs in Powell and Walters. And I can't pronounce his last name. I don't want to butcher it, but number 5, he's been playing well. They rebound well. So I definitely have to, bring it on Saturday and get out of there with the W.
Well, Tyson, appreciate it as always. We weren't sure if we'd be able to fill a show, and we're at 46 minutes, and we haven't even gotten to all the questions yet, but we're going to jump off here. We appreciate you for your time as always. Once again, thank you to Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Make sure you check them out for all of your banking needs. Their app is so easy to use. The mobile eBranch online banking is the best in the business, and you can find a branch pretty much on every corner. So ICCU.com, check them out. They're working with Tyson as part of an NIL deal. Jay Tuss should know we're on the air right now. Should I put him on real quick to see if he has a question for you?
Sure, absolutely. Let's
Jay, you're live on the Tyson Degenhart Show. What do you got for Tyson here?
How does this happen again?
You like calling when you don't watch any shows on BNN, man. I appreciate that. Nice to know you're a fan, man. Thank you for that.
I'd like the longtime listener. I'd like to ask the great Tyson Degenhart, what's it like to be the nicest player in all of college basketball?
It's great.
That's your one question you want to ask Tyson Degenhart, really?
Yeah, that's it. He averages like 18 a game, and he's the nicest player in college basketball. Like, he's so nice, you can't even hate him if you're an opposing fan. Like, he's worked himself into a really unique spot, I think.
And we did talk about that actually with everybody getting on Max. And I said, somebody asked what the hardest thing, the most negative thing he heard was. And I said, probably that he's a damn good player, because he doesn't taunt the crowd. He doesn't give him any chance to hate him other than he's good.
What is Tyson more likely to do? Trash talk a player or compliment a player on the court?
Probably compliment him.
He says probably compliment him. I don't think Jake can hear like that.
Hey, I heard Tyson did a podcast earlier today, too. Ask him if he had fun, and I'm going to let you go off that one.
I had a great time. Make sure to tune into Jay's Sports Bar when that episode drops.
Jay's Sports Bar will be I almost gave a shout out to KTIK, but no, we'll give Jason love, Jay's Sports Bar. So, that is the second time that's happened. It happened about midnight last night on my post-game show. Jay called me, and I was still on the air, and I thought he wanted to come on, and he didn't realize I was still on. So I'm happy to know that Jay watches all of our BNN shows when he's a paid contributor of the show. But
Cream's got it right. He's a fake fan.
Well, we were joking about how they always, believe it or not, when your name's Tuss, they still spell his name wrong a lot. And so we said Jay Trust, fake fan. So I like that. But and Kareem also says got to lock down. Is it Cott?
Yeah, number 13.
Got to lock him down.
Very good player in ISO situations and can shoot the ball. So definitely a tough matchup for us.
Tyson, appreciate the final comment of the day. Christine says, thank you for spending time with us, Tyson. I got a lot of positive comments on here, man, and glad we were able to make this work. Get back to your schoolwork, get back to watching some film. We'll watch the game tonight and see, does it matter for you guys? Any rooting interest tonight in this one?
No, just hoping for a good game, honestly. Something entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and you'll have, I guess, a week from Saturday, you'll play New Mexico again. So you'll watch that with an interesting eye there as well, looking ahead to things. But great show as usual. Appreciate you, Kareem. Appreciate it, Tyson, and good luck on Saturday. I will see you in Laramie. And then I'm Colorado Springs. It's going to be, I had to go for the bigger suitcase, I think, on this trip, 5 days or whatever on the road. But we're looking forward to having coverage of Bronco Nation News, and appreciate you, as always, for your time on the post-game interviews and stuff, and for doing the show tonight. And we'll try to set up another one, hopefully sometime in late March after you guys, made a Sweet 16 run or something, and we can recap that. That would be fun.
We could do one right before March Madness. We got a little time there.
That would be fun. Yeah, we'll see. You can do it with you have to wear the nets that you cut down in Vegas for winning the conference tournament, and then we'll do it there to preview the tournament or something. So
sounds good to me.
Appreciate it, Tyson. Go support Idaho Central Credit Union. Go support Lean Feast. And we'll talk to you at 9 a.m. tomorrow on our morning show on Bronco Nation News. And again, Saturday at Wyoming, that's a 5:30 tip-off. That'll be on the Mountain West Network. And then Tuesday at Air Force, I believe that's 7 o'clock on the Mountain West Network as well. We'll have live pregame show, 4:30 Mountain Time. Show you Tyson and the guys warming up. We'll have Abe Jackson live. Full pregame coverage starting at 4:30 on Bronco Nation News on Saturday from Laramie. So have a great rest of your evening. Go enjoy the Colorado State-New Mexico game. And Tyson, appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys later. This has been the Tyson Degenhart Show, episode 12. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News live here at BroncoNationNews.com.